Hello everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for having me. Thank you YunCai Cafe and Hardware Massive for making this happen. I'm Eduardo Alarcon, so I'm creative director of Toky Labs, and we're going to talk about the future of hardware. Okay, I'm not coming from the future, so I really don't know. But I save you that. I already tell you. But there are some guests around. So 2 days ago, or yesterday while I was reading the news, an interesting article stand out, and it was concerning the robots. It was about the next European legal regulations about robots. In the future, probably, well, not shortly, in a near future, the robot will be considered an electronic person, which means that, by the way, you can hear me properly? Yeah, okay. Actually, I'm Spanish, so you might guess that already because of my accent. Please interrupt me if you don't understand something. Actually, I appreciate that. I will try my best. So just raise your hand, okay? So the robots will have their own duties, responsibilities. They will pay contributions to health and so on. And that made me wonder something. That's a yesterday news. I want to ask you something. How many of you think that automation will take away all our robots? Okay? Raise your hands. How many things that will take our jobs away?
I don't think like all jobs, but some.
Okay.
Like some people and the delivery guy in the 外卖快递.
Okay. But they're actually quite good already, right? It's hard to think that a robot could do it faster.
Also, like the automatic driving.
Yeah, I mean, you're specifically right. In some jobs, actually, a robot will be a Terminator. Okay? Yeah. Like you said, telemarketers, retail salespeople, etc. There are high chances to be replaced by a computer or a machine. But there is a paradox that you won't hear much about, which is that despite 1 century of creating machines to make our jobs for us, the proportion of adults with a job in USA has been consistently going up for the last 125 years. Okay? So, let's put an example. I mean, our jobs requires a lot of skills. So, by including automation, it makes some of our skills more economically viable. I want to put you one example of banking. When the ATMs came to our real life, a lot of people thought that all the tellers would be just fired. They would be out without job anymore. But it didn't happen. By including the ATMs to make more branches were cheaper. And the tellers could focus on the skills that were more valuable, like customer relations. So, more branches, more jobs, and more quality jobs. Also, we have another ingredient, which is that we never have enough. We always want more jobs, different. We have more demand of different skills. I mean, if I could travel to the past and tell to a farmer 1 century back, and to the farmers, hey, your grandson or your granddaughter, they won't have this job won't exist anymore. But hey, maybe they're yoga teachers or personal coaches or whatever. They probably won't believe that, but actually it's happening. So don't worry, we will continue having our jobs. We're not going to talk much about that. That was just yesterday's news. We're talking about opportunities in hardware. Of course, I have to talk about Andy Rubin, the creator of Android. He thinks, he thinks that the opportunities are coming from getting the data from offline, from the real world, instead of the cloud. For example, if we're going to buy a fridge, we want the fridge to tell us when do we want to go and buy X, for example. But it's useless if the machine goes to the cloud and gets like the information of how often statistically a man or a woman or a family go and buy X. The actual data is if they track how many eggs do you actually have in the fridge. This is the real value of the new hardware product Andy is talking about. Of course, he's talking about IoT. Okay, I'm not discovering the wheel. You all know, 10 years ago, it started being quite trendy. It has been increasing exponentially, and yeah, it's quite famous. For example, if you have, I have a laser here, I think. Yeah, if you have the door, smart door, because all this is the same name but with smart, right? So smart door, you can know when they enter, how often, at what time of the day, so you can smartly define where to put the content inside the room, or if you have a restaurant, when to put some offers, etc. Okay? You're quite creative, I guess. It's really useful, and he's pretty much right. Let me give you an example of one of our projects, our IoT projects. It's from our RD team. It's in split testing stage, so we're still trying, learning a lot. This is TOKYBOT for kids. What happens normally when a kid has a robot is that he likes it, actually he loves it, and then he plays with that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, and after that there is one new toy, he forgets about that, puts it into a box. That's all about it. And we actually want to change that as Otto, right? We want to separate the concept of robot and toy. We want to change that. So TOKYBOT is a robot for kids that interacts by using widgets and writing down messages. Okay? It has 2 different systems running. If the kid writes down some instructions, like for example, go forward, turn right, and then go forward and play, the robot will reproduce these actions in sequence, like going forward, to right, and then go forward, and that's it. That will make the kid to be to increase their own logical way of thinking. They have to plan ahead what kind of instructions he has or she has to put in the widget in order to make move the robot from point A to point B. That's like premature coding, and this is quite old actually. It's working from 1990s, and it's quite famous and it's proven that it's working. But we want also to go one step beyond by including the cloud feature, which is that if the kid, instead of writing that instructions, writes like, "Hey, I'm happy today," this is not instruction. That will go to the cloud, and our artificial intelligence system will develop an answer to the widget back. So by this means, they will start developing a conversation. So they will develop an emotional link. That is what Otto also trying to do. So then the robot is not just a toy, but also will become a companion. Companion that will go with you on your learning. Actually, it's very funny when we are doing workshops. The kids, they say like, "Hey, let me put some more coding." Oh, sorry. Oh, that's okay. Let me put more coding. They actually call like that, coding. So we are including the physical motion by widget coding and the AI. And with the widget, we can actually do a lot of things. We can send them challenges. We can get the data of how the kid uses it and how can we improve that. we're doing more things on that. Yeah. I want to put one ingredient as well in the future of the opportunities in hardware. Well, this percentage probably right now is bullshit, but the thing is that most of the patents are like material patents are very important, and most of them are just known materials that are being applied into new scenarios. Like for example, in the kitchen, you have now silicon tools, right? 10 years ago, nobody thought about that, or 5 years maybe, I don't know. So a lot of new known materials are being applied to new scenarios, and I think hardware could use the same system. I think if hardware that we already know, we think of how to apply that to new applications, new scenarios, we might find an opportunity. So I'm gonna talk about one of our products, that is TOKYREADER. It's our open source project, also from an RD team, so it's in prototyping, and it's an example of a known hardware applied to a new thing. So I want to ask you something. Who wants superpowers? Raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, sure. Of course, right? I want, and because I'm quite nerd, I choose super reading. Okay? I want super reading. So, how we're doing that? It's using Arduino. We know Arduino. It's using the sprites. We know sprites. But I'm going to explain you that. Okay? But here's where it comes to the superpowers. Okay? By mixing these two things. Then we have the TOKYREADER. Well, Arduino. Arduino is an open source hardware platform, actually the biggest in the world. Sorry, can you read properly? Yeah. So with Arduino we can develop a lot of hardware stuff. And it's open source, it's very useful. Yeah, you can ask me afterwards if you want to know more about that. And sprites, well, sprites, actually not this sprites, okay? Sprites is a reading technology. Sprites is a way of fast reading software that makes you read much faster, like 4 or 5 times faster. This is quite amazing, and the technique is just that you have to focus on the red letter, okay, on this red letter all the time. One red letter will be always positioned located at the same place, so you don't have to move your eyes if you look at the red letter. And with your peripheral vision, you will get the content of the whole word. There is no text, there's no paragraph, there's nothing like that, just one word at a time that is flashing. So because you don't have to move your eyes, and your mind is faster than your eyes, you can read much faster, okay? You can read one novel in one day, okay? Do you want to try it? Yeah. Okay. So let's try it. I'm glad that you say yes, otherwise I would be screwed. It's the next line. Remember, focus on the red letter all the time, alright? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. I like when I hear smiles. Oh, a bit late, right? It's too fast. Okay, so you like that. Okay, so where you focus? Yeah, right? So you were actually reading that. Normally when we put some slides, people just read 4, 3 words, 4 or 5 words, and then, I don't know, start with WeChat. So this is actually boosting up your focusing focusing skills. And it's actually very good for dyslexic. We have in our team one psychologist, and she is also doing tests of how much do we retain the content by reading this way. And he's also discovering that for dyslexics it's really good because they don't jump back on the text. They don't jump up on the upper line or whatever. They just have to focus on the letter and the content goes through much faster. This is proving it's working. What we're doing, also, size matters, right? So what we want to do is a device that, because we only need to read one word, we can reduce the size a lot. Okay? We can reduce the size a lot. That brings us a lot of new opportunities. So we want to put that into a keychain or a necklace or, I don't know, a piece of your clothes. So we can put that, embed that in many places. And here we have, so here we have, thank you, he's one of our developers. So this is the first prototype of fast reading hardware in the world. All right. If you could do that smaller, but it's actually working. We later I can put a website. This is Wi-Fi connected. So right now how it works is we just go to the website, paste the code we want to read here, and then automatically it goes here and we read it. So can you imagine, for example, if we charge it wirelessly and if the text goes to a content streamer, let's say our favorite newspaper can stream all the content of the international news every morning. So then when we take our keys with this reader, going down the elevator to the car, while you're reading that, we know already everything we have to know. If we're, for example, if we're a lawyer and we need to know a case, we have to really read fast. Or we're, let's say, a doctor, and we need to read a lot of content of our patient. We really need to get and just high content in small time. Every time it's more and more. It's having that more and more, right? So, yeah, speed, size, right? Can you imagine that? Okay. So yeah, we want to do like in a kitchen or something. So there's another ingredient, which is price. I have been thinking, like, how can I explain you how cool, how cheap it is? And I was thinking, okay, let's try in font size, like type size. If this is the price of our reader, okay, if this is the price of our reader, and if we compare that to our current Kindle or ebook solutions in the market, this is the price. Alright? This is the price. We are cutting down like an 80-90%. So this is something, right? We have something here. And this is disrupting in two ways. Alright? We're moving a fast reading technology that's open source to a hardware implementation. We're moving a changing application, and also we're changing an object like a keychain into an IoT device. I'm not saying that this is gonna change the world. Of course, I don't know. I don't say of course not, but I don't know, right? Time will say. But I think the opportunities are using this kind of concept. Okay, so last point. Last point is that. What about the hardware scenario? Like if you are hardware startup and you want to do your own hardware stuff, how can you do that if you want to start? Okay. Well, this is how I used to play with electronics like 10 years ago. It's quite cool. I think it's kind of hard. Well, at that time we had few resources. Everything was quite costly, and when you want to develop something physical and you want to develop a prototype easily can go up to 5,000 euros, easily. So that's a barrier for entry, very hard compared to software, of course. But thanks to these guys, quite cool, they made that really easy for us to start with, like to make fast prototyping, like Raspberry Pi, 3D printers, and Arduino, and so on. And it was a huge improvement, actually. But it's not enough. If we go to and we see funding scenario, well, in those years, some years ago, only 1% of the companies were hardware. The funded companies, only 1% were hardware. Why? Okay, because there are few hardware companies already. I mean, you are going to fund hardware companies if you are a hardware company, because you know about that. You're not like scared about that kind of concepts. But why there are few companies? Well, because they are not well funded to begin with. Okay, so how can we solve that? Crowdfunding changed a lot this scenario. And last year we tripled the percentage of funded companies. So it's helping that a lot, but still it's not enough. What we need is more investors passionate about hardware. How can we do that? We might start with schools, right? We can teach to students hardware-based skills to make them feel more comfortable with the hardware, and maybe create hardware companies in the future. But again, we go back to the same problem, which is cost. To include in the schools embedded programming increases the lesson and the school system a lot. If we might have more supported companies like the ones I already told you about, like Arduino and Raspberry Pi and more companies, that would be really helpful. There are some of them that are starting up. But there's one big ingredient that is changing this scenario on hardware, which is the hardware community. Okay? Hacker and maker movement is growing up really, really fast. Talking about China president said that the future of China is in the hands of entrepreneurs, in hackers, in technology. And guess what? In Shenzhen, last 6 months, actually was from January 1st to June 2nd, 189 hacker spaces were created. 189. Okay. So this is a game changing, and that is making companies to understand that they have to support this movement. There's business there. Okay. And that is giving us, because there are some companies that are also doing that, like tons of 3D printers now, right? Or tons of like Intel now it's trying to compete with Arduino with their Edison. We have I don't know, many. I cannot start with that. I would not end. So that is bringing the resources much more accessible, and it's generating some companies that are operating for retail. Now you can go and just buy one chip. One. I remember I had to ask for samples or just buy 100. So that is, as the hacker maker movement marches forward, we are decreasing the cost more and more. And that has to go to a point where we can start introducing some content, hardware content in our schools, in the schools, that will ultimately make less reluctant investors to invest into hardware. Okay? So, yeah, here ends my presentation. One last thing. Yeah, I mean, I cannot put that, like all of them, but this is those are some of the tools you already have, low-cost tools to boost up your hardware company. I mean, the point here is that You can share your projects and learn about the projects in Instructables, in Make magazines. You can print your devices and design them with KiCad 3D printers. You have places to sell your products in Etsy. You have a place to fund your projects in Kickstarter or more. And you have a place for develop your products, your next amazing device. It can be in a hackerspace. Actually, I'm a staff member of this hackerspace. It's the first in China, the first one, and it's in Jing'an. And it's awesome place. You are guys invited. So, yeah, one last thought. The future of hardware is only exists if you are involved. So, you want to join after seeing that? Woo!